Hello and welcome to a little bit of an augmentation of information for our assignment. Visit and evaluate a museum. I'm Dr. Kirsten James Dunn, and this information is shared to help those new to museology. When first learning a process, it isn't unusual to need to have a formal list of questions to complete proficiency in a new skill. Today, we are going to go through a series of the sort of questions a trained museologist asks themselves almost automatically when reviewing or evaluating a museum and museum experience. The entrance. Step one. Whether you're evaluating a virtual museum or a version of a museum or a physical one, there will be an entrance, a starting point, a threshold or liminal space from which one moves from one world or purpose to another world or purpose. Museologists engage all of their senses in the process of evaluation. What do you hear, taste, smell, see, and feel? In the case of the virtual, it will be whatever your physical location sensations are, teamed with what you are experiencing online. The evaluation of a physical museum is more holistically immersive. Practical actions. Please take a photo of the entrance of whatever physical museum you're at if you're at a physical one, or a screen capture of the virtual museum if you're at a virtual one. What does the front of the museum say to you? Is it grand? Is it diminutive? Is it safe looking? Is it welcoming or is it not? What is the environmental context as well? Is it right next to or within a park or a forest? Is it in a city or urban environment? If it's a virtual museum, what is the context of it? Is it a commercial enterprise or a not commercial enterprise? For that matter, are you at a virtual museum or a physical one in this exercise? Physical museums. One asks specifically at a physical museum, is it busy? Is it surrounded by other buildings? Are there any parks or businesses or schools nearby? Is it easy to access for the public? Is there disability access? For a virtual museum, you have to ask, is it a website exhibition or a full-blown three-dimensional walkthrough? Is it cluttered or orderly? Are there a lot of pop-ups or ads making it difficult to see the site? Are the links clear? Is it user-friendly? Is it easy to use and navigate? Step 2, enter through the gift shop. Enter the foyer or landing page or the initial staging area of the museum. Please take a photo or a screen capture, obviously, or maybe not so obviously. If it's a physical museum, you take a photo. If it's a virtual museum, you take a screen capture. But what is your first impression of the museum space, be it online or off? Is there a lot of light or very little? Are there ceilings or is there page space? Are these ceilings or is the space on the page high or low or wide or narrow? Is the visitor immediately at a crossroads, so to speak? Do they have an option of where to go, or are they pretty much on a path that they have to follow, be it virtual or physical? Is there a museum professional tasked to greet you, or some sort of information kiosk, or is there not? Is there an opportunity to donate to the museum? And of course, is there a gift shop? Favorite exhibition space, step 3. Take a photo or a screen capture of your favorite exhibition space. What is it about this space that attracts your attention? Tell us about the organization of the display narrative. Using the Lembrick system of understanding circulation patterns, what kind of circulation pattern is created by the exhibition? For example, is it the arterial design, display in the center of a room, or a more block design, the room in which the display is centered and then it's surrounded by a box or walls. Now, sometimes those walls might have other things, but again, in the arterial space, you have a center area for display surrounded by wall space. So Um, is it perhaps more of a Libre design? Objects placed at intervals to allow circumambulation of each display item or case? Are visitors allowed to touch the objects or are they behind glass? Do you feel standing within this exhibition space? Ahem. Do you feel comfortable? How do you feel? Every space, place, exhibition, environment carries with it a presence or sense. How do you feel in that exhibition narrative within that story? Favorite narrative object. Please take a photo of at least one narrative object that you feel drawn to because you like it. Why are you drawn to this object? Is it the narrative object in the spatial dialogue conversation with other objects in display? So everything in an environment is in a sense in conversation with everything else. So is your favorite narrative object, and again, we're in step 4, is it in dialogue or conversation with other objects in the display? How does its presence there, how is it made meaningful? What does it contribute to that space? And what do the other objects contribute? Do those objects do they cause you to reevaluate your interpretation of the object that's your favorite object? So, narrative experience forms a relationship between the audience and the subject, again, creating more reciprocity and relationship. What story is being shared or was shared if you're writing retrospectively about your experience? What was shared between you and this favorite object that you are attracted to? And again, maybe you were attracted to it, but it isn't your favorite, which will mean you have a very different evaluation in the last step, step 4. Now, in this current step, notes about representation. Throughout the evaluation process, I tend to think about representation. I ask myself if I think the way in which the display has been arranged, the objects involved, and the textual information that accompany the displays appears to be accurately representing the source community or subject of the display. And I would also ask, would the source community be happy with this display? Now, please talk about representation. We've discussed museums as places of shared narrative conflict. What are your perceptions? Do you believe that the museum is displaying their objects in a way appropriate to the to the respective communities of origin? Those communities from which these items these narrative objects have come from. Are you yourself personally comfortable or uncomfortable with the approach to representation in display? All right, practical matters. This museum evaluation report is for History 303 Museum Studies and only needs to be about 250 words in length. Posted to the forums and involves 4 or 5 photos to accompany the report. You really only need the front of the museum, the kind of foyer or reception space if there is one, and or a gift shop if there is one, a favorite display, and a favorite narrative object. Thank you very much for your time and attention. If you have any questions about this assignment, please do not hesitate to contact me at dunn_k@heritage.edu. Many thanks.